So it's another exciting time with you at home and of course the audience here in the studio. One thing that's for sure is that it's time for that show, Ghana's Youth Presidents. This is where young, articulate, brilliant young people lock horns on the battlefield of ideas. I am ready and I know you are. But of course the question is, are you voting? The short code, remember, is *714*13# to keep your favorite cabinet, of course, your minister going. You need to keep voting because the judges will give their marks as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another time. We are going to be dealing with the gender ministry. Their mandate is to ensure equality and equity, and of course, the social protection of children. One thing that they're going to also be doing is to share ideas as to how they can bring in the excluded and of course the vulnerable. We're going to be seeing the ideas play out here. I just want to say that we are sponsored proudly by Belacqua Mineral Water. All thanks to Belacqua Mineral Water. And of course, my jackets, a very sweet one, is from Best Buying Boutique. They're located in Osu, just opposite the Chateau Towers, where the Chinese are housed, and of course, close to the SNIT Special Clinic. We'll take a break here. When we come back, I'll tell you who the judges are, and of course, I'll introduce our Speaker of the House, and our contestants will be ready. If you are ready, let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so as always, we have people who sit as judges and they assess and they give the scores. They have 60% of the decision while you have 40% at home. I'm talking about the judges. Today, we have them seated. Two gentlemen. I'm excited that we can do gender while they're seated here. My first judge is Mr. Michael Adam. Thank you very much, sir. It's exciting to know that both of you are men, but of course issues with equity, equality has to do much more with children, women, and of course vulnerable and persons with disabilities. What are you expecting today?
Well, we are men, and I think all the ministers are women, so
there's a good balance there.
There is a good balance. I'm expecting very passionate, well thought through policies, because again, whatever they are coming up with affects them the most. And so I'm expecting something extraordinary, better and more researched than what we have seen over the period.
All right, better and more research. Well, let me come quickly to our next judge. As always, he's looking different today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dignes Viradia. All right, so issues of the vulnerable have not been taking a good look at. For me, what are you expecting from them?
The expectations from this particular ministry would be to come out with doable and directive reforms and policies addressing school feeding, addressing women empowerment, addressing social intervention, and in total to come out with policies, reforms which will bring a difference to the present situation.
I see, which will bring difference to our present situation. Remember that the participating cabinets are Democrats or Sajifo, Gold Coast, Yasantua, and of course the Republicans. Well, the point is that we're ready to go, and our contestants are also ready, and I can see them very, very busy. Today we're taking the very first session, and of course the first segment from the Democrats. Representing the Democrats, Amadia Comfort. Let's put our hands together. And of course, on my right is Osajifo Cabinets, Maybrit Ekia Okran. And so, right honorable speaker, and of course, judges, and you at home, if you're ready to see some ideas flow from the brains of these young people, I'm ready as well. Let's welcome Amadia Comfort from the Democrats. Your time starts now. 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, eminent judges, colleague ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before this House to present my policies under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, which will go a long way to release everybody that matter out the consequences that we currently witness. First and foremost, I would like to address the issue of helping the needy but dull students. This is to help take inferiority complex out of these students. This is because psychology states that a student with torn uniforms, unkept shoes, who is also hungry in many but a few to mention, cannot absorb what is being taught in class. Mostly they drop out of school because of low self-esteem. And the research I've made concerning most dropout students because they were not performing well in school and there was no help at all. This is why my ministry came out with a foundation called Amadia's Foundation, who sought out to this policy helping the needy but dull students in the schools. By God's grace, we went to villages like Achia Mountains, Abono, Bene, and Yenesu number 2, and many others. And these students are now performing massively in school. We would like to strengthen this policy by working hand in hand with able individuals and the government to take out inferiority complex out of the students. Because as soon as the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection fails, all ministries also surface. Mr. Speaker, I would also talk about moving the street children into the orphanage homes and also strengthening the orphanage homes. My ministry would do this by working hand in hand with the orphanage homes so we can take these children from there for close monitoring. This would help reduce social vices like prostitution, armed robbery, drug addicts, and a few to mention. To ensure this and make it effective, Amadia's Foundation has set up an orphanage home at Jakobu Fiankuma and has been able to move out 60 orphans and other children, which would help. And they have really grown beautifully with lots of talents, which will help Ghana and the world as a whole. This policy will be strengthened by working with the government and other able individuals to support with incentives to take care of these children, and also settling up with the social welfare and the monetary organs to monitor its improvement. Because most children are found in social vices like armed robbery because of what they will eat, where they will sleep, and the others. Again, Mr. Speaker, I would also talk about including the men. This is because many at times that seminars and other programs are always organized for women. Let's talk of women empowerment and the what have you. But the ministry is there to ensure equity. It's about time we have time for our men, because this raised an issue when I joined the National Youth Authority to perform a program at Adangomasi Senior High School. A guy came to me and asked why always programs are being organized for the ladies, because they also have issues which needs to be addressed too. Amadia's Foundation treated this urgently and programs were being organized for them.
All
and
right,
by the grace of God, we have been able to solve more than 10 drug addicts.
All right, your time is up. Thank you very much. And so that was Democrats Amadia Comfort having had 3 minutes there. We'll quickly go to Osajifos Maybrit Okran. If you're ready, lady, take it away. 3 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, distinguished judges, fellow contestants, ladies and gentlemen, I deem it a great honor to present my policies today to the House and everyone. Article 17, Clause 1 and 2 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana stipulates that all persons are equal before the law. This provision expressly guarantees gender equality and freedom of women and men, girls and boys, from discrimination on the basis of social or economic status, among others. With reference to the National Gender Policy of the Republic of Ghana, 2015 and 2018, and the UN Sustainable Development Goal, I, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, will want to enforce the following: the continuity and innovation. Over the past years, SDG 5 hasn't been attained due to certain factors such as weak gender mainstreaming conditions of the ministry. Greater gender equality can enforce productivity, improve development outcome for the next generation, and make institutions more representative and in conformity with the world standard. The government of Ghana recognizes the gender equality and women empowerment are critically in respect to attaining sustainable national development. By this, I, being the gender minister, will introduce and pass a law, gender policy community. I believe that the attainment of SDG Goal 5 will perfectly establish in order to improve. 2, we are going to minimize strictism. In a day, about a number of 100 women kids are seen on the street of our country, mostly begging or sleeping on the streets. This issue surely lowers the standards of the country, having foreigners visit the country. By this, we are going to generate funds to support get a place outside the street homes for victims, which by my research, I've seen that the ministry is doing it. We will collaborate with mandatory agencies, and contribute to facilitate the process. We are going to enhance and increase the participation of women in leadership, governance, and decision-making at all levels. Most women especially are scared of taking the higher positions in decision-making, politics, and others due to the environment created. Some fear to talk. Some fear the talk. She slept her way through and more. Therefore,
All right,
not
thank you
pursuing...
very much. Thank you very much. Of course, that's what was here 3 minutes. Now, what we will do is to go to the judges and look at what they think. And of course, you at home are ready as well to vote. But before you do that, let's listen to the judges. We'll start off with Mr. Jignesh Viradia. What did you think about Amadia Comfort's submissions and, of course, your questions?
Honorable Minister, thank you for your brief elaboration on the policies that you could draft in the possible time. It was well drafted. Most of the points were been considered in terms of identifying the objectives, identifying the constraints, and then addressing in the right way. The Ahmadiyya Foundation, I think, is doing a great job in terms of bringing reforms and sanity into the entire ministry and giving a different idea and concept to the whole efforts. So I think you are doing well, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Is there any follow-up, sir, Mr. Michael Anand?
Yes. Well, I think you dressed up well as the minister, and congrats for that. I like your confidence level. You were more of children focus and bringing out the best in our kids. Well, I had expected more, but I think the time was limited. But I want to ask this. Your policies were children focused, but you never mentioned of trafficking, which is one of the major issues facing children.
Thank you. Please, that's why I tackled it here, like moving the street children. Because when you have more street children, that's where we get the child trafficking. Because most of the times you pick those street children to engage them into child labor and those and other things. So that's why I tackled taking them from the streets and taking them to the orphanage so that they can be close monitoring.
I am of the view that most trafficked children are given out by their own parents. So I was expecting a policy that would try and solve such a menace.
All right, and so that's for the judges. You at home, what do you think? So keep voting. Remember, the code is *714 *13#. If Ahmadiyya Comfort did it for you, vote for her, of course. She is from the Democrats cabinet. Judge, let's quickly move on to what you think about Maybrit Okrant's submissions.
Honorable Minister, thank you for your brief ideas and reforms that you wish to point out. But I felt there's a lot of lacking in terms of bringing out it clear and loud, where we could not understand that what is the issues that you're addressing and what are the reforms or policies that you want to bring in. It has to be directive, as I said, in terms of expectation that all the reforms and policies that you want to bring in should be doable, directive, and it should bring a difference to the present situation. So I think you need to work out a very precise or say detailed policy in terms of addressing the core issues. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And that was Mr. Viradia's comment. Let's now do Mr. Michael Annan.
Ms. Okran, I'm right. I think you are better off not reading. Anyway, you talked of SDG 5. I don't know what's SDG 5.
SDG 5 is gender equality.
Okay, so what has that got to do with your policies?
So gender equality, sustainable development goals, that's goal number 5, is gender equality. And as a ministry, we look forward to have gender equality and equity in everything that we have.
By doing what?
By empowering our women.
How do you empower your women?
So we are empowering our women through leadership programs, training them in the various avenues.
So that is what I expected from you, right? You talked of women being scared because of what will be said. What do you sort doing different to bring up this or to fight this particular issue that you identified? What are you doing in that direction?
We are going to liaise with various women associations and women caucus and more to stand and support the women who take the challenge to go for these positions. I mean, the leadership positions that comes about. And also, we're going to promote political leadership, mentoring for women at least from the tertiary level of their education. And also, we are going to a well-developed institutional capacity and a healthy political environment based on the rule of law, government efficiency, control of the corruption, regulation quality.
So these are the things you should have said. You have them and you were beating around the bush. Anyway, again, I think today the ladies have done it. So they are dressed for the occasion. They are actually ministers.
All right, and so that's comments from our judges. Of course, you at home, you have 40% voting right, and so quickly take your phone if you want to keep Madame Amadia Comfort from Democrats to add a lot of points. Please vote star 714 star 13 hash, and of course Osajifos Maybrit Ekwa Okran. If you want to vote and see her come out as the best performing minister as well, please vote star 714 star 13 hash. We'll take a break. When we come back, the two other contestants ready for segment 2 will be ready. Don't go anywhere. All right, so welcome back from that break, and I'm excited that we're here again. Remember, Ghana's youth president is supported proudly by Belacqua Mineral Water, and of course, my jacket is from Best Buy Boutique in Osu. One thing that's for sure is that our contestants are ready to go, but you have to keep voting because the judges are also going to keep scoring. We will quickly introduce our contestants to you, and from the Gold Coast Cabinet, ladies and gentlemen, on my left, Jifa Equia Combe. All right, and so from the Yasantua Cabinet is Audrey Afua Akoto. And so just as always, they have 3 minutes each to bring their submissions to bear. Let's know what they think as far as their manifesto is concerned. So we'll start off with you on my left-hand side from the Gold Coast Cabinet, Jifa Ekwa Combe. Take it away.
Right Honorable Speaker, panel of judges, all protocol reserved. I go by the name Jifa Ekwa Combe, 19 years of age, a final year student of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I stand there as the gender minister on the ticket of the Gold Coast Cabinet. Growing up in a home whereby I always saw my dad going to work and my mom in the house taking care of the family was a norm and a culture I grew up in. Few years down the line, I lost my dad. With the burdens of taking care of me and my little brother was left on my unemployed mom. I was almost giving up to child marriage, but thank God I got a relative who came to my rescue, and here I am now. Child marriage occurs mostly in our community, and it has been a very big problem in our country. Based on our survey, most of the people who are faced by child marriage are from the northern sector. Based on the research we made, 33,000 children were recorded as of 2014 on the street. As of 2017, the number increased to 90,000. So hereby, 2019, the number estimated was not given, but imagine 90,000 and imagine this year now. Also, women make up the majority of the land for 66.9%, yet they find it hard time landing a job in our public governance and also in our value chain addition. As of 2017, 13.5% of women were recorded in parliament. And what does this show as a country? So my ministry, what we will do now is to first tackle the girl-child education. Based on this, we would first tackle the grassroots. The grassroots is where parents and guardians do not allow their children in order to study or have more education, in order for them not to their traditions. So first of all, we'll go with the advocacy. In this stage, we will talk to chiefs in order to provide them with ultimate solutions, which, one, since they don't want the girls to be sexually involved with boys at the stage of schooling, or in order for them not to get pregnant, being easily exposed.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll quickly go now to Yasantua Cabinet, Audrey Afuakoto. 3 minutes.
Right Honorable Speaker, Supreme Judges, all protocol observed, viewers at home. My policy framework, commitments and plans are as follows. 1. Child protection. 2. Women rights and access to justice. 3. Women empowerment and livelihood. These stated objectives also represent respective focus areas and deliberate measures on actions to be carried out under each commitment. In my administration, we will ensure better protection for women and children by guaranteeing to have a proactive approach in protecting children. So doing so by monitoring people who work with children. Also, proactive in the fight against women discrimination. 1. Child protection. About 2,000 or more children or more girls are given out for early marriage every year. This is done most especially in the northern sector of our country. This is one of the major challenges our country is facing due to poverty. This is because parents of these children get a lot of money from the dowry when they give their children out for marriage. So they think that giving their child out for marriage is the best thing to do, rather than sending them to school. There are several reports that indicate that poverty rate at the northern sector has increased greatly in the next 10 years. Not only child marriage, but rape. It's also a major issue which is still going on, and children must be protected from all this. Also, child slavery, where children are made to work hard before getting to their working ages. This issue can be solved by creating jobs out there, because if parents have jobs of their own, they will see no reason why they have to give their child up for marriage in that certain age, and in order to make money. I'll combine this to ensure that that access to education is free, and children have comfortable classrooms and all the necessary stuff to make learning easy, and parents will not have to worry about how their kids will go to school. I will ensure that laws are passed to make this act a criminal case, that is, putting their child to hard labor before their work ages. Child marriage, of course, putting their child out for hard labor, marrying children off because it's a cultural thing and due to poverty, and rape. Those who are involved in rape will not go out freely. They'll be dealt with through the law. Secondly, women's rights and access to justice. With this policy, my goal as a gender minister is to ensure that there won't be any form of biased judgment at the workplace, with the norm that women cannot hold higher positions in the public sector. With the last constitutional review, there was a suggestion that that women employment within the public sector, there should be not less than 30% of gender, that is not less than 30% of women must be employed into any department.
All right, time out. That's
institution.
your 3 minutes. And that was Yasantoa's Cabinet's Audrey Afua Akoto. Thank you very much. And our judges will quickly come to you, we'll take your comments and, of course, questions. We'll start off quickly with Gold Coast Jifa. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Minister, thank you for your self-experience and courageous story that you have gone through. I heartily appreciate your willpower and courage, that what took you far and has let you give a positive way of life. Coming to the point, you have addressed a very crucial, important issues that we are facing in this country. Not limiting that you have missed a lot of things, but what you have addressed makes a lot of sense in terms of your policies, reforms, gives a clear directions about your objectives, which is worth appreciating. Thank you for all the policies that you have brought in.
Mr. Michael Annan, what do you have to say, sir?
Minister Jifa, well done. I like your presentation. You started off very well. I think you were not organized at the tail end. But I'm coming back to your story. A relative came in, right?
Yes.
So without the relative, the story would have been different. So what policy should replace that relative of yours is what I want to hear.
Okay, thank you for this question. So based on that, that was where I introduced the girl child education, whereby girls would be placed into schools, vocational schools, and also
I want to hear, how do we identify these girls and how do we then place them into these schools?
I don't really get the question.
Okay, let me make it easier for you. Your relative identified you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How or what would the state have to do to identify you in that situation?
As a minister, what policies you will bring in, what efforts you will put in to identify similar of your kind?
Okay, so the ministry will partner with NGOs who would be visiting communities in order to identify the vulnerables or the people who are not able to get more education. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And that was Gold Coast Jifa Ekia Kom. Quickly, we'll move on to questioning of Yasantoa's Audrey Afua Akoto. If you're ready, I'll start off with Mr. Michael Annan.
Afua Akoto, I'm right. At the base of your submission, I get the sense that it is because women have no job, are vulnerable in terms of getting jobs. That is the reason why we are in a certain situation with our children. Are you by this saying that even if the woman is not qualified, she should be employed?
Thank you for the question. This will be implemented by reviewing skills, that is vocational training, technical training, and other training. That will actually bring women who didn't go to school, because through the vocational training, they can know what their talents are, or they can know what they can do. Not to be there, not working, but then you can maybe through hairdressing, sewing and stuff, they can know what they can.
I do agree with you, but let's go beyond that. If the woman is trained, if the woman has the talent, if the woman has the skill, right, he would come to the job market and compete with all of us. And if at that point we are still having issues with unemployed women, or the women not being employed, whatever the reason is, I want to know your policy. How do we facilitate these women, even if they are not being employed? The system will facilitate them to be more useful in the job market.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. With this, I'm going to state my policy. That is the women empowerment and livelihood. That was my policy for the question you just asked me. And then with that, I was going to give them a startup capital, so they can begin from the scratch, little by little. They will get there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. And that's Yasan towards Audrey Afua Akoto. And of course, the judges have a job to do to assess and, of course, to score. Mine is to just ensure that there's a level playing field. I'm tight-lipped. I'll get to know what the contestants have, and then we're good to go. But of course, yours at home is to keep voting. Remember, the code is *714 *13#. And to keep Madame Jifa Ekoya come from Gold Coast in the competition, of course, to gain more points, please vote. And of course, Yasanto as Audrey Afua Ekoto, just do the justice to that code, *714 *13#. We'll take a break. When we come back, segment 3, and the rest of our participants will lock horns. All right, and so welcome back from that break, and we're still here locking horns on the battlefield of ideas. We heard from the contestants from the rest of the cabinet. We're about to hear from that one woman standing representing the gender ministry. But ladies and gentlemen, remember that there's a 20,000 Ghana cedis project fund for the best performing cabinet. And of course, we also have the 11,000 Ghana cedis for Ghana's youth president. He gets to share it with the rest of the ministers, and of course, best performing ministers will walk home with some good consolation prizes. If you're ready, judges and right honorable speaker, I have with me from the Republic Cabinet, Esiedu Ofe Victoria. All right, and so in 3 minutes, you're going to be making your submissions and the judges will score. If you're ready, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Speaker, distinguished judges, fellow colleagues, among the policies I intend to implement in my ministry when given the nod includes poverty eradication. Many a times when poverty is mentioned, we get to think about finance and income, but here it goes beyond that. Talking about hunger and malnutrition, limited access to education and other basic services, social discrimination and exclusion, as well as lack of participation in decision making. The gender ministry under my tenure would provide needs for all and ensure that the poor have access to productive resources, including credit, education, and training. Inequality eradication during my tenure would make sure that we entreat and encourage women to take up leadership roles and to educate them to know their rights, so their rights will not be infringed. Again, Operation Shelter for All. During my tenure, would make sure that we get sponsors on board who would make sure that our women and our children, the vulnerable on the street, would have access to shelter. Again, we have Operation Take Them from the Street. We make sure that we organize a project or a program for them, which will treat and train them in vocational skills, as well as education. So we would sponsor and make sure they have something doing. So they'll move from the streets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, judges. Judges, we'll start off with you, Mr. Viradia.
Honorable Minister, thank you for your quick and brief note about the policies that you want to bring in. One thing I should appreciate about a new initiative is the Operation and Shelter for All. I think it's a good initiative.
Thank you.
In terms of hunger and malnutrition, I didn't get a clear picture about how your policies are or what are the reforms and innovation that you want to bring in to address to that very, very, very important.
Okay, and the hunger and malnutrition, talking about the school feeding programs, we will make sure that the children will eat food which is well nutrient so that they'll be strong.
How many students are we feeding now and how many students are unprivileged?
Honestly, I don't have the exact number.
You have to know that as a minister. Anyway, thank you for your answer.
And thank you very much, Mr. Viradia. Shall we go to Mr. Michael Annan now?
I like your statement about poverty eradication.
Thank you.
And that it is not just about finance, but productive resources. What resources do you think our women especially lacks? What productive resources do you think they last the most?
The resources that will give them the tenacity to be able to be on their own, to be able to fend themselves, to be able to feed themselves and their children.
So,
being it money, agro product, resource, as human resource, teaching skills, and so many.
Well, I'm still not that convinced. Because you are back to money, but I think it was good to mention that you would provide other productive resources, but you have not tied in those productive resources. That's where I want more from you. What productive resources do you think would put women high up? Well, I understand you, giving them implements, giving them all this. But to me, in my opinion, I think the training of women should be specialized in a way that brings out the best in them, that gives them a certain level of confidence. It is not enough to tell a woman that has been pushed to the back for so many years, centuries, we would say, in Africa, right?
Yes.
To bring them up just by way of providing finance. The mental system must be changed. How we think, how our women think, and everything must be changed. I don't think our educational institutions are doing just that. I think we need to do something more. And I felt you are coming out with something. I wanted more from you.
Okay. So,
but I'm sure you would have other opportunities to tell us more. Look into this.
Okay.
I like the innovation, right? But you must bring out more.
All right.
Right? Good.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Well, if you want to have a Asiedo affair, have a lot of points as well for her, and of course, the Republic Cabinet, of course, you have to keep voting. You know that, right? Just keep voting and voting and voting. Vote to *714*13#. We'll take a break. When we come back, I'm going to be lining up all the contestants and we'll know exactly how the judges scored. But of course, keep voting. We'll be right back after this break. All right, and so welcome back. And this is Ghana's Youth President, the only reality TV show that shares a common playing field for young people to lock on ideas that, of course, contribute to national discourse. Well, I have with me all the contestants here representing the cabinet. So from my far left, from the Democrats cabinet, is Amadia Comfort. And from the Osajifo cabinet is Maybrit Okrang. Jifa Ekweakum is from the Gold Coast cabinet. From the Yas Santiwa cabinet is Audrey Afua Ekoto. And last but not least, from the Republic cabinet, Esiedu Ofe Victoria. Well, you can see a football in my hand. It's not a football show, but one thing, when you think football, you think hard work, you think fair play, and of course you think teamwork, and of course unity. That's what we are calling for in the realms and the world of a woman. We pray that they would work harder and of course come with a more united front and participate in the governance issues of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a participating school here, and from the Presbyterian Boys Senior High School. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for them, and let's welcome the deputy head boy. Let's clap for him while he comes. Well, today we're going to be symbolizing this. Well, you can say it's a boys against girls, but it's an affair. This ball will represent hard work and, of course, unity. We are calling on all women to unite. And, of course, so I'll call on my judges. First of all, we'll call on Mr. Jignesh Viradia, who will present to our three contestants. If we're ready, let's welcome him. And this is to you. Ensure that the same spirit that follows football, unity, fair play, and of course hard work. We want more women participate in governance issues. Thank you very much, Mr. Jignesh Viradia. And of course, last three will be done by Mr. Michael Anand. Thank you very much. And this is to you as well. Ensure that you emulate and exhibit what exactly the team spirit of football stands for. Thank you very much, Deputy Head Boy of Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, of course. And our water is sponsored by Belacqua Mineral Water, and so is Best Buy Boutique in Osu, just opposite the Chateau Towers. They brought me my jacket. Remember, there's a 20,000 Ghana Cedis project fund for grabs for the best performing cabinet, and so keep voting. We also have the 11,000 Ghana Cedis cash for Ghana's Youth President, the very first one. He gets to share it with the rest of his ministers, and of course we'll have consolation prizes also for the best performing ministers. What's better than this? You can only have that on Ghana's Youth President. We can assure ourselves that we're going to be meeting on our next episode. We want to say a very big thank you to Right Honorable Speaker and of course our judges for always joining us. We'll see you next week, but remember to vote. This has been Ghana's Youth President. We'll see you soon.